January to May of 2020, the African Institute for Development Policy reported that 11,799 teenage pregnancies were recorded in Nairobi County. 6,686 were recorded in Kakamega County, and 3,966 teenage pregnancies were recorded in Machakos County. Please note this is between January 2020 and May 2020. So this tells me two things. Number one, that babies are having sex with each other without understanding the consequences and the responsibilities that come with sex. Number two, and very importantly, adults are raping babies. And this annoys me. And to adults that rape babies, this is what I want to tell you. You are disgusting. May you rot. May everything inside you burn. And fuck you sincerely and deeply. I'm already mad, even haven't begun. My name is Wanjiru Nguhe, and welcome to Mine is a Comment. This is a podcast where I sit with women and we talk about our lives, we talk about the politics and how the politics affects our lives. Thank you very much for joining me and welcome. I need to breathe for a minute. I need to breathe. I'm so mad. Whew. Anyway, so today I'm joined by a woman I really love, a woman who really, really, really genuinely loves women. And she is a co-founder of USIKIMYE organization. And this is an organization that works with survivors of gender-based violence. They do rehoming, they do counselling, and they also do the legal support work whenever they need representation. So Njeri is here with me today, and welcome to Mine is a Comment.
Thank you.
Yes.
I think above all those things, you forget that we have a safe house for women.
Yes.
And their children when they are involved in issues and matters of SGBV.
Yes.
So that is also part of the work we do.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, we also have a feeding program, of which today you are party to.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's just some of the things we do. We do a lot.
Yes. And I love that you've mentioned the safe house, because we know that the government began a safe house, but we know that it's not something that is like, we don't know many safe houses.
Actually, the government hasn't started a safe house yet. The government is aiming to get a budget allocation for them to build a safe house.
Okay.
In Nairobi,
Yeah.
which will be the first government-led safe house.
Okay, which is a good thing.
Kenya.
It will be a good thing.
I would think so.
Yes.
It would also mean that the government is also looking at GBV and actually prioritizing it somehow.
And doing something about it. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So we are here today to talk about teenage pregnancies. Those numbers they're not just numbers. Those are babies.
Yes.
Those
and
are
those
girls.
are babies having babies.
Having babies.
If we're talking about 11,700, let us just break down the numbers.
Yeah.
When you're saying that these are babies,
Yeah.
if those are 11,729, multiply that times 2, we're looking at 23,000.
23,000, yes.
Something babies. So that's a lot of children. That
Those-
is if everyone had a solo birth.
Yes.
Not looking at multiples.
And if everyone survived.
And if
the
every one
pregnancy.
of them survived to give birth,
Yes.
then that's what you're looking at. One of the things we need to actually talk at is we need to stop looking at these numbers and assuming these numbers are little. Those are very many people.
They're too high.
11,000 teenagers is alarming. And that's in one county.
Yeah.
And that is in the span of 4 months. You said it's from January
January to May.
Till May. That's
Till May.
5 months.
Yeah.
Around the same time. That's a lot.
Yes.
Because considering if you then multiply the same for another 5 months, then we're looking at 22,000.
And then now you see we had a pandemic and we had a curfew, so girls were not going to school.
Because that's before the curfew.
That was before the pandemic, so it's bigger and
then
it's
now
more.
after the curfew, then now the numbers are quite high.
Yes.
And you actually saw that during the time when the kids were having exams.
Yes.
And quite a number of girls were having exams in the maternity.
Yeah.
I feel like we have normalized teenage pregnancies. And once you normalize teenage pregnancies, you don't think that is a problem.
And then we will talk about the teenagers being resilient and them sitting an exam even after.
That's not resilience. I get so angry.
Yeah.
When people start talking about resilience. This is a child. The child should not be developing resilience.
Yes.
And let me tell you, giving birth does not leave you the same.
Yes.
So when we are looking at teenagers and we are saying they're resilient, what? What are they resilient?
Because they're children.
It means that the protection that these kids should have been offered was never there.
Yes.
in the first place. We also need to stop looking at teenagers as pre-adults. These are post-children.
Yes.
They're not pre-adults.
They are still
Their
children.
mind is not yet grown enough to understand the responsibility that comes with having a child.
Yes.
I should know I was a teen mom. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you are not prepared. You don't
Yeah.
even understand, you know?
Yeah.
I'm just glad my child survived, because half the time I used to sleep on him.
Because you didn't know anything
Because I
about
didn't know.
anything.
I wasn't aware.
Yeah.
And most of the time I would wake up, the baby was gone, because
Yeah.
the baby cried and I was half asleep and I didn't wake up. And so my dad picked the child and went with the child. So I'm telling you, these are things. The number of times that child dropped from the bed and under the bed are uncountable. I'm just saying that I'm glad that at 16-year-old, when I got my baby,
Yeah.
that child survived.
Okay. So now, we've we've gone deep into the conversation.
Yes.
So I just want us to talk about teenage pregnancy with regard to accessing maternal care.
All right.
Because normally, sometimes when we're talking about maternal care, we're talking about adults, we're talking about women, but we're not thinking about, so this teenager is already pregnant. Of course, we know that teenage pregnancy is a problem, but this point of the conversation is the teenager is pregnant. And by teenager, it's not just 12 or 13 or 14 or 15, it's 9, 10, 11, 12, all the way to 18.
Yes.
So what does, and because you've dealt with babies who have had babies, what does the access to healthcare for pregnant teenagers look like?
Most of the time, because you're a teenager,
Yeah.
most of them don't go for clinic. Let me just put that out there, especially
Okay.
in the low-income areas. First of all, you're already frustrated at home. They're angry at you. They're
Yeah.
mad at you. You're pregnant. So nobody is, going to take you to hospital. So
Okay.
lack of access to hospital facilities, especially in the low. I don't know what happens in the upper income areas, but I can tell you in the lower income areas, and which a lot of pregnancies do come from,
Yeah.
they don't go for clinic.
So even when we're looking at these figures are the ones who have gone to the clinic, because these are
they don't
health
go
center
to,
numbers.
They don't go. Even in Ushago, they don't go. They don't go. There's so much stigma when you're pregnant and you're a teenager. You are going to be discriminated and stigmatized, and you're going to be abused. So, of course, accessing healthcare is going to be an issue. Now, how does that translate? That the time you're going for maternity, like now to give birth,
And I
in
hate that we're
hospital,
calling it maternity, because because maternity is a word for
there's nothing-
adults.
that's how bad it is.
The fact that we don't even
The fact that now you're looking at it that way,
Yeah.
and that's how people should look at it. Teenagers have no business being in a maternity room,
Yes.
giving birth. Their bodies are not even ready for it. I have lost a child.
Yeah.
I have lost children birthed by these children.
Yeah.
Because their bodies were not ready. You remember she was stunned.
I remember it broke my
And
heart.
when we look at
yeah.
this, at this, we also need to look at the fact that these children did not get pregnant by themselves.
Yes.
And most people want to say they got pregnant by their
No.
peers.
No.
But I'm telling you, the number of teenagers I've handled mostly has been incest. Some of them has been incest. Some of them has been rape. A lot of it has been by adults.
Yes. So all of it is rape.
So when you look at it, all of it is what?
Is rape. Yeah.
It's very little that is consensual between teenagers, which is a different box altogether.
Yeah.
But this is what I'm saying. Teenagers have no business being in a maternity room. So by the
Yes.
time they're going to maternity, they've already missed on crucial vaccination,
Yeah.
crucial, the teachings that they teach you during, when they're taking care of your pregnancy.
Yes.
They do not have any foreknowledge.
They also don't have the support that women get. You
Of
do
course,
baby
they have
showers.
no support. What baby shower?
I know,
Who's
I'm
giving
saying
you a
like
baby
this,
shower?
even the advice you get. So this is
Yes.
what you do to a child. This is how you
Yes.
take care of her. This is what you even forget about. Even the child. You as a pregnant woman. As a pregnant child, how do you take what conversations are these we're having with our pregnant
And now-
teenagers? Yeah.
You are also forgetting that this is a teenager who is also going through hormonal change. While we are all talking about the pregnancy, we are forgetting this is a child who is having a lot of things going on in their body.
Yeah.
Because they are still going through puberty.
Yeah.
So things are still happening to them. Their emotions are all over the place. Their hormones are all over the place.
Yeah.
And then they get a baby.
Now, on top of getting a baby, since this is statistics from January to May, there was a pandemic in there and there was a curfew in there.
Yes.
So now the baby is pregnant, there is a curfew, and she probably needs emergency. Will you even know that she needs emergency? Like what was that?
So now you also need to realize that for most teenagers, they are normally advised to go to government hospitals. So now if there's a curfew, it means they cannot access the hospital. So that means you're giving birth where?
And in which home?
Thank you.
And in which place?
In which environment?
In which environment?
And how are you giving birth?
And where
And
are you?
when you take these same teenagers to hospitals, I wish you could hear, especially in government hospital, we know this. Let us not be, we are cognizant of the fact that giving birth in a government hospital should be listed in 1,000 ways to die because one, there are insults, there's frustration.
And
now
then
you're
there's
a teenager.
Infrastructural mess of it all.
Yes.
Then there was a doctor's strike.
Yes. And now you're a teenager. Giving birth during that season. Or giving birth because it's normally like that anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe without the doctor's strike.
Yeah.
And
you yourself as a teenager, you don't know anything about anything.
And you're being abused.
And you're being
told when mtoto mjinga sana and many other things that you're going to
and
be
you're
told.
fast and you're too and you did this thing to yourself and you don't have manners. I
remember going to remove a 12-year-old I will not mention the hospital's name.
Yeah.
But I remember going to take her and the bill was, she had a bill of 25,000. And they were telling me, huyu mtoto mjinga sana, she's 12. She was raped by her mother's boyfriend. And the hospital was already angry at her for being pregnant and for being a child without morals. Because when a teenager gives birth, it is not considered, nobody considers the surrounding facts.
Yeah.
It is considered by this child has no morals.
Yeah.
And so they are treated as such.
And this is a place where now you expect to get healthcare from.
No. You're just another number. It's already overwhelming. So you're just another number in the list.
So do these teenage babies make it? Like, do the babies of the babies make it?
Most of them do. Again, as you said, resilience.
And what does the parenting
But
look
there's
like?
a percentage that doesn't.
That doesn't.
The parenting is bad.
So because I would know this because my mom was a teenage mom and she didn't get to raise me. She left. So I was raised by my grandmother because she was not, she couldn't.
I can't blame her.
She couldn't.
I can't blame her. It's a lot of pressure to put on somebody who is not yet ready.
Yeah.
And the mind is not yet ready to be a mother.
Yeah. And
most of these are all accidental pregnancies. It's not like they deliberately set out to be pregnant.
No, absolutely
The accidental
not.
Pregnancies, they did not know what to do.
And it was not
They didn't
their
even
fault.
take P2. They don't even know about it, some of them.
Yeah.
And because, we're not just looking at Nairobi. The fact that we assume that they know. That is an assumption. They don't know. So they got pregnant. Or this is a child of rape. So there's a lot of resentment toward the child. So we are looking at the fact that most of them those children will be raised by their mothers, not them.
And if they're raised by their mothers, then there's a whole layer of other things because their family
and
dynamics.
And most of them are very indifferent to these children. Really.
Yes.
They do care about them, but not the way that I'm practicing conscious parenting.
Yes.
It is a person who is just holding a baby because it's a baby. It is mine.
Yes.
Somehow.
And the baby has found me.
And the baby has found... you can actually see the way they interact with the babies. They do not have... even as the baby grows up, you'll see it's like siblings. It's more of a sibling relationship rather than a mother-child.
Yes.
Because there's a disconnect where they actually look at this person that I'm responsible for them.
Yeah.
Because they're not even responsible for themselves. You understand?
Yeah.
This person, this teenager is not responsible for themselves. Responsible for their maternal health care. So if your mother doesn't tell you go to hospital, this person will not go to hospital.
Yeah.
If your mother doesn't say you are starting labor, it's time to take you to maternity, this child will not do it. And some mothers just take their kids to those government hospitals and leave them there.
As a lesson,
so that you can understand that what kind of damage you've caused to the family.
Yeah.
And then you become the source of family shame. So there's a lot of scorn that these girls face due to all this stigma, discrimination. Even in school, when you're about to go back, or even when you're pregnant and you're in school, you're used as an example, a bad example.
Don't be like so and so.
Don't be like Njeri. She is pregnant. She got pregnant during school.
Don't play with boys like Njeri.
Yes.
Don't play with men like Njeri.
Yes.
And men are not being told don't play with Njeri.
No. So it is always going to be the fault of the girl.
Yeah.
And it's like you're going to carry... It took me a lot of unlearning to understand that I should not be ashamed of the fact that I got pregnant as a teenager.
Yeah.
But most of them will always carry. And then when you see them as adults, they do not want to say they have a child. I see people condemning women who do not say they have children, but they don't understand that because you have been discriminated because of this child for so long, you don't want to tell somebody I'm 27 and I have a 12-year-old.
Yeah, because we'll start doing the math and then we'll
because
be like,
immediately...
when ulianza, and...
Exactly.
And as you were taken advantage of.
Exactly.
You were failed.
And most of them don't even understand that they were taken advantage of.
Yes.
Because you find, like where I work, boda guys are notorious.
Yeah.
Boda guys are notorious everywhere in this country
Yes.
for impregnating a huge number of teenagers.
Yes. Form 2, Form 1. Yes.
Yes. Very notorious.
So
Because
now
they have money.
and they are flashy and they look like the
And
thing.
they give them money.
And these girls are accessible.
So all these are facts that we are all not looking at. All we are saying is that teenage girls
are getting
get
pregnant. Let us give them sex education. Okay, fine. But in the meantime, they are getting pregnant.
They are getting sex education from whom? In this country, we do not teach sex education.
Because sex education is encouraging them to have sex.
Yes, but we already have a problem.
Yes.
The larger problem is we have this number of teenage pregnancies.
Yeah.
That nobody wants to talk about. We only talk about the numbers. We only pull up the numbers and come and say, yes, number of teenagers go. Then what?
So what about the health? And then also when you're
help? And what access do they have?
And that's what I wanted to ask you. Prenatal clinics.
You understand?
Because what happens to your body after you give birth as a teenager? What happens to you? Because if you as a grown woman, you have postpartum, you need all the support. You need to You need to is to be supported after you give birth. You need all those things.
You know they don't get all those things because again, this wasn't a baby that was coming and is acceptable. So those coherios and all those other things,
and the baby
the
showers,
support that you get as a mother. These teenagers never get that.
And they won't get that
your
from their
mother's
friends.
Will not come to visit your mother. That is if your mother is not going to be ostracized in church for having a pregnant teenager.
And she's a woman's guild.
She's a women's guild. And this is why you see me try-passing throughout the country with my teenage mothers, looking for a place I can take them because they have even been chased away from home, because their mothers are not ready to carry the shame of having a child out of a teenage child with a child. So most of them are actually thrown out.
Yeah.
We have a very big number of teenage mothers. We have very many teenage homes in this country. Teenage mother homes. And they're always full. So what does that tell you? We have a crisis and no one is addressing.
And the crisis is deeper than the woman, than the baby being pregnant, because now there's a child coming out of this union and this child has been neglected.
Yes.
Because you will be neglected. If your mother doesn't know what to do with you, you will be neglected.
Your mother doesn't even.
So it's a whole generation of neglected babies.
Yes. So we're looking at you as a hidden person. And then there is a fact that there are so many things that tie in with a teenage pregnancy. It's not an ordinary pregnancy. This is a girl that needs to go to school.
Yes.
Half of them don't go back to school.
So now there's the poverty cycle and there's all this.
Yes. Because look at it this way. If I don't go to school, you're not taken back to school because now you have brought in another child.
Yeah.
So the resources that would have been allocated for you are now being stretched and they will go towards the new child and not you.
And even the new child is grudgingly, like Sasa.
It's begrudgingly.
And this child is going to grow up feeling like
knowing that.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, now it's time for you to go to school. That means who is going to be left with this child? So how many years are you going to stay at home so that you can take care of the child? For the child to be big enough maybe to join nursery so that you can go to school. So if you're in Form 2 and you dropped out, you will go back maybe 2 years later or 3 years later when your peers have already gone 3 years ahead of you.
Yeah.
So you will always feel like you're lagging behind. So when you're coming, if say I was in Form 2 and I was 16 and I gave birth, when I'm coming back, I'm 19. Do I want to go back to school?
No.
Higher, when you go back to school, you can definitely not go back to the same school.
No.
Because of the stigma.
Yeah.
Unajua?
And also because you've had a child, so in your mind you want to think like an adult, like a mother.
And then there is always the fact that if you go to school, I know the government said there should be no discrimination, but there's a lot of discrimination when it comes to teenage pregnancies.
Yeah.
Yes. A lot. Because schools don't want you. They're saying women ni mama. You know, you're a mama. You're a mother.
But you're not a mother, you're a child yourself.
Nobody in this country, the minute you give birth, nobody considers you a child or a teenager or anything else. You now automatically you are called a mother.
And you should know what to do.
And if you do something that does not have any bearing with being, like a normal teenager, you will hear everybody saying, "See, Aliza, this is why she got pregnant. This is why she's like this."
So there's no even space for you even to be a human being, just breathing and just trying to survive Guru's economy.
You have messed up. So again, that perpetuates the cycle of
poverty
and violence.
And violence.
Because some of them will run away from home and go and get married.
And a man will come and save them.
So that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Now, once I have saved you and maybe I'm not the father of your child, you will be obliged to me. And I will always be cognizant of reminding you that Wewe, I married you when you had a child.
No one else wanted you.
Yes, I'm doing you a huge favor.
And you will believe it because there was nowhere for you to go.
You know, when I'm talking to some of the victims and some of the survivors of domestic violence, and I start probing, you find somewhere along the line, there was a baby.
Yes.
And especially for those ones that disrupted their education.
Yes.
And they stopped going to school and they got married because they use it as an opportunity to run away from an oppressive home.
Yes.
Thinking that this is it, I'm going to have my own home and things are going to get better. And then they get into the hands of somebody who is an abuser.
And this abuser will abuse you and your child.
And
then it becomes another cycle.
So many times somebody will tell you that my husband doesn't provide for my firstborn because I got married with him.
Yeah.
You know, they don't recognize this as their child.
Or sometimes it will be repeated. So you got married with a child, and then this boyfriend will rape your child, and then it will be another.
We have a lot of that. A lot.
And then it will be like
a lot of mothers who've gotten
and
married, and then now their children are being raped.
And then they will get children.
Then they will get children by the abuser, and then it becomes a cycle. That's why I said, if we need, as a country, to address the crisis that is teenage pregnancies.
Yes. Actually, the government did on 3rd March. Apparently, there is a campaign that was launched to deal with the teenage pregnancy. I don't know how far it is now.
If I do not know about the campaign,
then it is.
And we are the people who are on the ground. And
yes.
The people who are talking to teenagers. Then we have a problem. We have a very big problem. When we start advocating for things like comprehensive sexual education.
And they're being fought.
And we are telling these people, we need our children to understand what body autonomy looks like.
Yes.
For them to be able to make critical decisions about the things that they're about to get involved in.
Yes.
I'm telling you, when you have the information, it is different.
Yes.
When you understand what is contraception, what is safe sex,
what is consent,
ABC, what is consent, very, very important.
What is consent?
What is consent?
Yeah.
What do I do if somebody touches my body?
And it's not just about the girls. It's the girls, it's the boys.
It's the boys, it's everybody.
It's everybody.
So that this person can be aware that I am in danger.
Yeah.
That there are times when you have to be aware that I'm in danger.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That if this my uncle is telling me this and this, but I have been taught from, let's say, 5 years to be aware that people might want to prey on me. So these children are making decisions that are safe for them.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
And this, you know, sometimes I took a girl who had been raped by her father and contracted HIV.
Oh, dear
from
Lord.
her father.
Yes.
Do you understand? This child stayed like that for a whole year, meaning they had no access
even to HIV care.
To HIV care.
And HIV conversation is another conversation which I've had here.
It never ends.
It never ends. Yeah.
Now, for us in the GBV world, these are some of the fallouts that we see.
Yeah.
The fallout of GBV is not just violence.
It's not.
We see things like HIV.
Yes.
And HIV care.
Yes.
And we also look at violence
even mental
in terms
health
of, and this
things.
now is happening to teenagers. And let me tell you, we are also looking at the fact that now HIV care is somewhat good. Right?
Yes, it is
not
working.
Everybody is on it.
Yeah.
But for those people who have followed it, they had given birth.
Yeah.
We're looking at teenagers who have been given birth and they have HIV.
And
they're
if
having
you're not
sex.
so if you're not accessing healthcare, how will you even get tested? How will you
So
be
they're also
cared
giving
for?
birth to children with HIV.
With HIV, and no one is giving these children the medicine because
So this is a whole problem. The dynamics of teenage pregnancies are not just the numbers. But the only thing you will see people waving around is
the numbers, but not
and
the care.
starting campaigns
Yes.
that don't really affect the numbers that should be. There should be no other campaign that should be done before we start addressing things like comprehensive sexual education.
Absolutely.
So that these teenagers and these children can be aware.
Yes.
And be able to make decisions.
Yes.
That will lead. And, that's one of the decisions we will talk about.
Yes.
And it is very important because it also goes up all the way to contraception. It also goes all the way up to abortion.
Yeah.
Which are conversations that Kenyans are not ready to have.
Also, are teenagers having abortions?
Of course they're having
abortions. Yes, they're having abortions, but
they're having bad abortions.
Yes.
They're having bad abortions.
And so you don't have after abortion
and
care.
they're also listening to their friends who do not even know what a proper abortion looks like. So we're looking at kids.
Even adults, we don't even know what a proper abortion looks like.
So we're looking at kids who are removing each other's pregnancy using a hanger.
And using jig and using things.
jig and so many other unsafe abortions.
Yeah.
Actually, tomorrow I'm taking a 12-year-old who was raped, and then they did a backstreet abortion, and this child now is like that, and nobody ever bothered to go and do the after. The only reason the neighbor picked up on it is because she was smelling. She had a really bad smell. So these are some of the effects of teenage pregnancies.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
And bad decision making, because again, we're not looking at an adult who has, special awareness of what they need to do. We are looking at a child who who is also listening to other children
and
like her.
And a child who is scared and doesn't know what.
Yes. And you know that your mother will kill you.
Yes.
So what do you do?
Let's get rid of this problem.
Thank you. And who are you? Who is helping you get rid of the problem?
Another child like you.
So they have no information. Remember the thing I talked about accessing
babies.
information?
Yes.
They have no access to information. Just because we have smartphones doesn't mean that we are smart.
And just because we're in the internet age, it doesn't mean that we know.
That we are accessing it or accessing the proper information. What proper information is this person supposed to get? So we are looking at botched abortions. We're also looking at deaths. Even one teenage pregnancy or one teenage pregnancy causing death is one too many.
It's too much.
Because this is not a now problem. This is a continuous problem.
Yes.
And unless we start addressing it from the root causes and from the bottom of it, and we start saying, no, we have a problem.
Yes.
And no, we need to start talking to these teenagers. We are going to be...
And we need to stop being lazy and stop saying, these children know too much. They don't know anything.
No, they don't.
They don't know
What
anything.
do you know what these children know?
Me, I don't know.
Exactly. So why are we saying that they know too much?
Yeah.
Why are we assuming that kids are not innocent, naive, just because they are on the smartphone playing games and doing things?
Yeah.
And TikTok and access. You see, those are the things teenagers will access. They will access social media.
Yes.
You will not find a teenager looking at a Planned Parenthood.
Google. No, they're not going to look at that. No, they're not going to look at that.
That's not the kind of information. They're looking for information that is relevant to their age.
Yes.
Yeah. They're posting on Insta. They're following celebrities. They're doing all these things. And the fact that we as parents are also telling celebrities that they have to be role models for our children.
How?
Your children, you are the parent to your children.
Yeah.
You are the person who's supposed to be talking to them and creating awareness about all these things that are happening in the world.
Yeah.
And telling your child how to take care of themselves.
Yes.
And what not to do. This applies to both boys and girls.
Absolutely.
But nobody's doing that. And that is why we have this crisis of teenage pregnancies.
It is now a big deal. And now when someone else comes and says, then let's talk to these children. No, you can't talk to them because if you talk to them, you will encourage them. So what are we doing?
Nothing. We're actually not addressing the teenage pregnancies pandemic.
We're not.
And I'm telling you, if there is something that has like been a problem for me, has been teenage pregnancies.
Yes.
And where to take them.
Yes.
Where to take these children. Because most of them, I'm telling you, they're thrown out. So many. It's just so many. In the office, I think every 2 days, a woman will walk in with a child. They are pregnant. And she's like, what am I going to do? Her father is going to kill me.
Yes. And the child could
and
even
kill
themselves.
Me, I failed.
So now we are talking
so the
about
mother is telling you, the father of the girl is telling her she failed as a parent. And now they're both two terrified people coming to our office looking for help. Help to take the child away from their home.
What?
So we're also looking at uprooting a child. Was only reason that they're being uprooted is because they got pregnant. So nobody is addressing the elephant in the room.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. I don't know how to, I didn't even know how I was going to have this conversation. I knew it was going to be a heavy conversation, and I am just like, there's a big problem. We need to educate our teenagers. And this is something I want you to do. I want you to pick up your phone, unlock it, go to your M-Pesa menu, then go to pay bill, and please write this number, 891300. That's the pay bill number. And then the account number is USIKIMYE. Then put whatever amount, 500, 100 shillings, 1,000 shillings, so that we can support the work that Njeri is doing. Let us just do that. Let's just send money to help USIKIMYE, because we need this care work to be done with more deliberate action, and we need to put our money where our words are. So thank you very much for watching, and thank you so much, Njeri, for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for loving us the way you love us. Thank you for loving these babies. Thank you for caring for them. I really, really appreciate you, and thank you for coming. And thank you for watching, and please continue to subscribe. Please send her the money, 891300, USIKIMYE. Thank you.